Today, I'm excited to bring you a very special person. But before I introduce this person, I want to give you guys some context, right? Because I can't just bring a guest onto the podcast and not let you guys know how I know this person, how we connected, and how far we go, right? And I actually found notes uh, from when this person spoke at an event, right? Because this is the first time I ever met him. So, the business that we do, multi-level marketing, a beautiful company called Herbalife. I remember I was still a world team member, I believe, under my wife still. She was in cuts to get, I believe. And I had qualified VIP. Well, we all had qualified VIP. And I remember when I saw the flyer for the speakers of that event, LDW, April of 2016. And we were going to Philly, right? And I've never been to Philly. And the energy in Philly was bananas. It was crazy. So, but what had me excited to go to this event, which was my second time going to an LDW, was that I finally saw someone that I can relate to in the sense of my brother, right? Because if for my Hispanic people, if you don't know that you are colored, then you need to do some research. So when I saw this person was part of the top 1%, this person was like me, colored, from the hood, although he's from Cali and I'm from New York. It was what connected me and made this event be even more exciting. So check this out, chat. Check this out, chat. So my man gets introduced, he comes out, and all you hear is hustle, 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 hard, hustle, 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 hard. Closed mouths don't get fed in the boulevard. And I was like, nah, this dude made it. I'm making it, bro. This dude made it. I'm making it. But it was so intentional, man. And then from hearing the bits and parts of his story, from his teachings, from all the quotes he put, all the things he put together for everybody to learn how to do their business. You know, one of the quotes that I wrote down that really resonated with me, even till this day, right, was out of the many he has said, follow the leader, become the leader, create more leaders, and never stop following the leader. Right? Until this day, we have people that we still do that with, right? For example, Angie was the one that brought me into this business, and she's still a leader, and she's still someone I admire in that space, right? So we continue to have these things that we learned from even back in the days. But we got into, VIP, qualified. We got to chop it up. We spoke about sports. I'm somebody that always talks about sport. And I remember we talked about sports, and I was like, yo, why don't Herbalife sponsor someone like LeBron? LeBron wasn't even in LA yet. He wasn't even in LA. And Jay was like, Jay made me feel so like I've been in this for so long. He's like, yeah, we gotta talk to the CEO about this, man. We gotta let them know, man. It's a great idea. And from that day, man, it's just been amazing. I already gave it away who it is. Um, Not only is he my brother, he's also a mentor and a friend, right? Jonathan Weber, aka J Webb. I first met him 9 years ago, like I said, in the LDW. From the first moment we met, we clicked over the years. Been there more than just business, right? My brother guided me both personal and professionally. Jonathan is not only an entrepreneur and CEO, but also a devoted father and a man who influence has touched countless lives. So today we dive into his journey, his mindset, and what it is to truly build, lead, and build brotherhood. So Jay, Jonathan Weber, people, give it up for Jay Webb.
First off, thank you, Raw. I truly appreciate you for even being in the conversation, for allowing me to even be in the conversation of people that you would have to bless your
Thank you, man.
podcast. And I
Thank you.
love what you're doing. I completely admire it. You being a pioneer uh, as it relates to us. You probably don't know, or maybe you do, that you know you're basically creating a path for others to follow. And for those of you guys who are listening, who've already been tuning in with him, or if you don't know, I want to say this because personally, one of the things that I truly, truly appreciate about you and just our relationship in general is that this guy has a heart like no other. You
Thank
know,
you.
if it's a Father's Day, I'm it's like dude's gonna remember, give me a text. If it's birthday, whatever it is, like some of the most just you know, and I get a text and I have to say, bro, like the consistency. I don't know if I don't know if you I don't know how you remember to send these text messages and do these things, but I'm grateful for being someone who gets that from you.
Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you. Because and then of course he's hilarious, y'all. If you ever get a chance to hang out with this dude, can I tell you, I laugh so hard every time I get to be around him. So he has both sides. A complete individual. So
Yeah,
thank
man.
you for
Thank you. I
having me.
appreciate it. I know that, I get that a lot from people that I know that I meet, and the relationship doesn't have to be a long one, but they can feel like I'm like a glue in a lot of groups, right? So I appreciate that. I remember when I sent you the text, I knew you wasn't gonna say no, but just even the way you texted, like, bro, anything you do I see a value, of course I'll support. Like that right there. And it even made me a little bit emotional when I saw the text because obviously this is something that I started to do and I see so much growth in it. And to just have someone that I've always looked up to say the way you said it, of course, you're a person of value, I support it. Like that hit home. So, but thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. So, we're gonna get right into the juicy stuff, man. Right into the juicy stuff. After this, probably gonna be ladies hitting me up like, "Yo, where's that guy at, man? I don't have to see him, but I can tell by his voice." um, so, what's one lesson from those Herbalife days that still sticks with you today?
well, well, first off, let me make sure I understand because as you can see, it's
Of
still
course,
Herbalife. But do you mean like early on back
like
in 2016, or you mean when I first started?
when you first came in, what was something that stuck to you that to this day you still embody in whatever you do? It doesn't have to only be in business because we learn things in business that we embody in our personal lives as well.
Yeah. Something that stuck with me that was a new thing that I had never experienced prior to coming into this company. And I really believe it's not necessarily, I feel like it's really unique. And that's that here you can be
Mm,
naked, right? And what I mean by that is that it's those of us that are very transparent. It's those of us that are willing to show more of who we are. The world teaches us, and even our parents, right? Oftentimes they teach us to cover that stuff up. Whatever didn't work or whatever bad situation that took place in your life, or I used to feel like if I walked around with a resume of my life experiences on my chest, I would wonder if some of the people that talk to me would
mm,
still talk to me, right? Because of the things that I had gone through. Uh, but in this community, what I found is that those were the things that made me relatable. Those were the things that made people say, if
mm-hmm,
he could, then
mm-hmm,
so can I. And if he did, then what's
mm-hmm.
my excuse?
So good. Same for me. Like I said, I related with you because I knew your story. But for me, it was like I've never seen somebody make it to the 1% yet. That's like me. I haven't seen that. So, but yeah, I get it. It's almost like to a point there's some unconditional love in that, right? Because they're not judging us from our past. They understand it's powerful, and we get to showcase it, right? Which is the beauty of Herbalife, right? And that's what everyone. So, how would you describe the man you were back then versus the man you are now?
Once again, and it's funny too, because we'll probably get into this a little bit deeper a little bit later, but everything that we've even said just from the first question, it embodies uh, spiritual principles and biblical principles. Like if I think back about just even the space of being transparent, it's my belief that it's important for us to be transparent simply because letting people know where we came from and the things that we had to overcome to be where we are, it gives glory to a higher
Mm-hmm.
power, right? Because we both have had friends, that didn't make it. What's the
Right.
difference, right? It could have been us, So I believe for us to have been able to take an opportunity and run with it and come to a place through all the trials and tribulations that we've had and stand here today, I believe it gives glory. I believe that's our test. Those tests are now our
Mm-hmm.
testimony. And into your second question as to how do I differ today, um, it's more being around this community has made me work on my character. You know, um, Character in essence means to chisel off
Mm-hmm.
excess, right? And like when you know I believe it's come from a Greek word, and I might, because it's Greek, I may mess up the pronunciation, but it's like correctai, I believe is how it's pronounced. But it means to chisel off excess, and once everything else is gone, what is who you are. So when I think about it, the men like yourself are reflections that allow me to say or helps me understand that I have to stick to a standard of living, a standard of behavior, a standard around my family, a standard in front of my
Mm-hmm.
daughter. So there's a lot that I know that I would probably be a lot more loose and just kind of wild if I didn't have men like
There's a little
yourself
bit.
and
There's
others
a little
around.
bit of
I
that
would.
still. There's a little bit of that still.
Yeah, yeah, it's not gone. It's not gone, but it's like I know how
Right.
to use it. All of who we are is
Of
what makes
course.
us amazing.
And that's what makes us unique. It
You
makes us
know,
unique as well. Yeah.
exactly,
For sure, for sure.
exactly.
I seen some wild stuff. I see some wild stuff. PG-13 though, PG-13. But I seen some wild stuff. Okay, so we're gonna get into a little bit of faith and mindset, right? So, as a leader and a mentor, how has your faith or belief system guided your path?
Hmm. So again, man, and for the listeners, a little bit just deeper into my story so you can kind of understand also where I'm coming from. I grew up in Compton and Watts, single parent home. My mom had me when she was 16 years old. I started selling dope at 12 years old. I left home at 15. I've been on my own ever since. I was in juvenile hall at 16. Like, I dropped out of high school. I ran the streets, right? So, as I speak to you now about some of the things I'm going to speak to you about, because as he's saying these things, I'm thinking about how I've been blessed, right? But I want you to get the polarity of it, right? It didn't
Mm-hmm.
start this way. Uh, and again, the company is not some like religious company, but I think what it did is it made me look to standards, right? And as I look at my wall right here, I got probably like at least over 100 books on this shelf right here, but the Bible is at the top of the list. And I say that to say this in terms of faith, growing inside of this company, out of all the leadership books that I've read, I parallel the journey to when they say, it was this guy, who wasn't necessarily, didn't believe in who he was, where he was from. He had to leave town and he spoke to all these people and all these people said no. Uh, People even who was supposed to believe what he believed, like didn't
Mm-hmm.
believe in him. And, he eventually found 12 guys, right? So for me, I think the faith part was saying, well, if all I have is some good nutrition and an income opportunity, and this guy was offering salvation, if everybody didn't say yes to him, what should make me feel so awesome that they'd all say yes to me?
Mm. Mm. John Maxwell says that that's the best leadership book in the world is the Bible.
It has been for me, and I got a ton of Johnson
Yeah, man, he
Maxwell books
says
over
it.
here.
I've heard videos of John Maxwell say it. Like, the best leadership book is the Bible. Now, of course, everybody has their own interpretation of how they read the Bible, because I
Of
also feel
course.
like, and everybody's way of reading it is respected. Also, there's no disrespect to it, but
Hmm.
everyone has their interpretation of certain things that they read, coming from the stand of where they're at, also mentally, right? Because I can read something and I can mentally be all messed up and read this, but you could read it and you at a place right now where you're at all time high, and it's like, nah, Raul, that doesn't say that, bro. Let me help you out. You get what I'm saying? So it is like John Maxwell says, it is the best leadership book, and people just gotta have an open mind when they read it. You know. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. I've definitely, although I've never seen you grow up, obviously, just hearing your story, I can tell. I mean, think about it. Who's to say before you found Herbalife, you be living where you live at, right? Or you be the man you are today? Although, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Our upbringings is what molded us to have certain things to be who we are today as well. We can't never forget where we come from. That's what actually allows us to be grateful for the things we have today. But you got to be present for that. There's a lot of people that are not present on what they have in front of their face, right? A lot of people get misled or get lost in the sauce of what's going on when they see social media and this and this and this and that. So it's one thing that where I'm at today, and the space I'm in is literally being grateful for what I have in the present moment, because I know that the things I didn't have before that I have now, or the things that I did have that might have been better than now, it's still the same thing. Still got to be grateful for every single thing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What mindset shifts were necessary for you to go from follower to leader? Now I'm hitting you with a line that you shared with us at that LDW, right? But at
Hmm.
that time, I didn't have the cojones to be like, yo, let me get the mic and let me ask Jay this question. But hello, where we at today, we could finally connect the dots backwards. So
Like
here
10
we
years
are,
later,
right?
like,
So what was the mindset shift that was necessary from going to from follower to leader? And not necessarily in the sense what people think what a follower is. This is not what we're talking about. Think outside the box, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, you have to
Of
follow
course.
before you lead. A baby, right? We have, a baby's gonna follow, right? Eventually, that will grow up and be a leader. So we all follow before we lead. So for me, it was looking at being the best follower. And I'll give you something that I think most people tend to run from, that I didn't run from, is that my sponsor, my mentor, she would call me and out the blue, and I'd answer the phone like, "Hey," and she will go, "How excited are you?" Mind you, guys, super scared of being on. I was like, new. She was like, "How excited are you to go on stage tomorrow and teach the marketing plan?" Yo, Raul. She would ask me these types of questions at random, and literally, like, I could feel my whole body just freeze up. And like, I want to say no. Every ounce of me wants to say no, but I understood the value, and I had so much gratitude for having a mentor, because I've been in the
That
desert
cared.
for so long, and I used to wish somebody would come by and just show me a way out of it. I used to pray for somebody to come by and show me a way out of this desert and lead me on the right path. So out of gratitude, my response would be very excited. That's what I was doing. And she'd be like, "Great. So tomorrow, da 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 da." Yo, I would get off the phone and like
Used to
sweat.
happen to
Like, I
me
don't know
too.
how, because
Used to happen to me too.
yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, right? And I will get on stage and fumble. So, but what I noticed in hindsight is that I wasn't the only one she was asking. I was just the one that was saying yes. So it's kind of like if you was like, well, let's go to the gym. And I had a twin brother. And I said no every time. And my twin brother said yes. A year from now, my twin brother is going to look and be so much stronger than I'm going to be.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because I said no. For whatever reason, I did. And I realized that it was the fact that I just kept saying yes to the things that I really didn't want to do is what had me be a leader by saying yes to what my leader was asking me to do, or just from saying yes to what a leader would ask of me. And I think that's really what did it. I didn't know that I was going through the fire in order to somehow be sharp, be sharpened, into a blade. But that's what happened. And of course, iron
Right.
now
And one thing
sharpens
I can
iron.
tell you is, knowing who she is without mentioning any names, she's a beautiful soul, man. And she has so much energy for a small person, that's for sure. And one thing she definitely was doing in those times was instilling belief in you too. Cause you might have not you saying yes because you feel like you gotta say yes, but at the end of the day, you might not have the vision she has for you. But your yes changes that as we see, right? So it's pretty dope, man. It's pretty dope. I feel like a lot of people allow fear to mean something worse than what it is. I feel like we need to attack fear, right? I feel like talk to him, talk to them. I feel like see one thing I never did back then was Raul. Why do you feel this emotion of fear? Why are you scared? Right? Why are you scared? And a lot of men, especially, we don't ask that because a man can't be scared. We can't think. We can't feel that. We can't feel that. We can't feel fear. Heck no. We can't do that. But if you stand in front of a mirror and you have that same feeling, that little fear, just ask yourself why you feel that way. And you find the answer and you'll see, like, man, I overreacted. This thing was nothing. That's why you feel the way you feel after you come off stage presenting what you did. Regardless if you fumbled. Because at the end of the day, we know fumbling is learning. It ain't really mean you fumbled. The only person that knows you fumbled is you, nobody else. So it don't matter. Right? But we must attack
True.
fear. That's how I feel. I feel we must attack fear. We can't allow fear to take over.
Yeah. True. True. In the Napoleon Hill Outwitting the Devil book,
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
the devil's right. The devil says that the reason why he's gonna win is because like we're not gonna step up to the plate and really, show up as who we really are. He's gonna put these things in place. He's gonna use talk. He's gonna things that fear, things that misinformation. He's gonna all these different things and play on the fact that we're being lazy, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how he's going to win because we're never going to step into who we truly are. And you
Right,
got to
and that's the
outwit the
thing that
devil.
we always look outside of us, and it's always within us, right? Like the here's the beauty
Mm-hmm.
about having brothers, mentors, friends that you can get guidance and advice, but at the end of the day, if you don't have your own perspective of what you're hearing, which is obviously I'm talking about a positive thing, you're gonna see it and be like, it's whatever. Even though you don't mean it in a malicious way, but it's still you gotta want to understand those things are already within you. We're gonna have people in our lives that are just gonna mirror things to us every single time. Every single time. It's just gonna happen. The point of life now is if we see what's going on and we don't want that to continue, then we must fix it. We must attack that. That's it. And we move on from the lesson. Right? But I feel like everybody is I feel like majority of people don't ask themselves that question when they feel fear. Like they just don't. They run away from it, and all they do is continue to create more of it instead of just asking themselves a simple question: Why you feel that way? Right? Perfect, man. So,
That's really good, bro. Thank you for that. That's really good because I'm doing this secret, what would you call it, focus group that I just put together. There's about
nice.
6 people in it. Uh, and it's high accountability, and it's a lot of things involved. But basically, as we go through certain things and they don't do it, or they just don't show up in a particular way, what you just said, I'm gonna start to ask them like,
Right. Let them
why do you
answer
feel
it,
that
and
way?
let them answer it. You don't answer for
Mm-hmm.
them. You let them figure that out,
Mm-hmm.
because they're the ones that got to deal with it. You still got to
Mm-hmm.
show up as Jay Webb, regardless of how they feel. Right? You can't change. You can't help
Mm-hmm.
somebody that don't want to help themselves. At the end of the day. But yeah, man, attack that
Yeah.
fear. Ask the question. It's that simple. Ask the question. Any emotion. You crying? Why you crying? You happy? Why you happy? Right? What I started to do, and I was talking about it in my stories, is I'm choosing happiness over chaos. And chaos doesn't have to be literal chaos. It can be, I got a flat tire when I was driving. I got the money to fix it. Why not? Hey, you get what I'm saying? You're choosing happiness over the chaos, man. So it's the same thing with fear. Answer yourself the question, attack it, and you'll see how things change for you. Literally, we have the power to do that. All right, so let's get into some family and fatherhood, right? How has fatherhood influenced the way you lead and mentor others?
It's funny. I was actually having a conversation with someone today. I saw them. The lady had her sons, and they were like little kids, like 3, 4, whatever. She was helping them pull up the trash cans from the front and drag it all the way up to the house. And I said something inside of the story and said, "Hey, you know, if you give them small little tasks and write a list of small tasks and make sure that you always say good job and attaboy and all those different things to those little young men." I said, and over time, you start to make those tasks, even a little bit more tough. You're gonna have these special human beings that are just men. That I said, not only will you be depositing something that's valuable in their lives, your life is going to be so much easier, right? As men, if you think about it, that's all we need is that
I
good
was
job.
I was gonna
That's
point that
all
out
we
that you
look
said
for.
that. It comes a long way, man.
That's
It comes
all
a
we
long
want.
way. It
That's
comes
all
a
we
long
want,
way.
right?
It comes a long way.
They say like if if you know Angie come home and you got groceries in the car, and you know you grab some bags, and she's like, look at my strong such and such such and such whatever. You gonna want to go out and
I'm
grab
gonna
more
grab.
bags
Let me grab all 50
instantly.
of them.
Exactly. Let me grab all 50 of them. Like we're that like it's just that simple, man. So as you ask that question about just fatherhood, a lot of things that if you take even that scenario and you apply it to even the business that we do, when you start a brand new person, you give them a
Right, and they're
small
like your
task.
kids, anyways. If you think about it.
Yeah, yeah, you give them a small task, something that they can do, and then what do we do once they do it? We acknowledge
Congratulations,
them.
recognition.
We do a post, we congratulations, we do recognition, right? And then eventually you give them a little bit of a bigger task, and you know what I mean. Nothing that's going to take them out, right? They say, right, we don't feed our babies steak, right?
Mm-hmm.
We feed them milk,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then slowly they start to get a little baby food, and then they'll maybe start getting a little teething cookie, and then eventually they start getting right. It's this process way before they get steak. They get steak too early, they choke. So I think this business has also been a mirror for how we raise our
Mm.
children with things. If you look at it, it's the
Yeah, it's the
same
same thing.
flow, the same process. I never miss a moment to acknowledge my kids, right? Because as kids, it's probably the same for you, but I'm assuming we grew up in a generation where our parents are people. They were quick to point out when we did something wrong,
Yes,
but we didn't get as much acknowledgement when we did something right.
correct.
Right? They be like, "Oh, you got A B C D A B. What's up with this D?" You be
Right,
like,
right, correct.
"You no, good job A B C." Right? It's like, "What's up with this D?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we get what we focus on,
Mm.
and I think there's just an opportunity to really take notice of the things that people do well, and acknowledge those things, right? And I think what in turn happens is that they start to then do more of whatever they get acknowledged for, sometimes bad or good. So that's helped me in an immense way as it relates to fatherhood, because my daughter just made drill team yesterday. We dropped in a chat
Nice.
like congratulations, da 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 da. Even though she told me in person, I made sure we drop in a chat and be like, and give it up for her. It's the same principles that we learn inside of this company.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
I believe that's been a big deal for me.
I feel like I do the same thing. I feel like I do the same thing. I feel like the way we grew up, like you said, those things are pointed out, and we have the awareness to do different. Because at the end of the day, we can't blame parents no more. We cannot do that. We're grown ass people. Okay? Maybe the first time around you saw it, this is coming from my dad, the way he raised me. But if it happens again, your dad ain't the problem no more. Right? We forget that our parents were raised a certain way themselves. Right? And a good question to ask
Mm-hmm.
is, before you point the finger, why don't you ask your parent how they were raised? Why don't you hear their story? Right? Why don't
Mm-hmm.
you hear their story before you point a finger, instead of looking at yourself and whatever's going on? But I agree 100%. We treat uh, our distributors the same as we raise our kids. Think about it. Just like from when you was sharing the marketing plan in itself, those are the tasks. Distributor to senior consultant to qualified producer to supervisor. Right? The listeners are gonna be like, "What the heck is he talking about?" But those who know. The point is, there's steps, and you're guiding, and you're recognizing, you're celebrating, right? And eventually, like you mentioned, they'll continue to go for more and bigger ones without having you even to push them. You'll just be there to continue the principle of celebrating, right? And if they fumble,
Mm-hmm.
you don't bring it up as in a bad thing. You learn from this. It's there for a reason. It's there for you, not meant to hurt you in any way. It's for you to grow and learn from it. So the mentality is totally different, bro. It's it's just different nowadays. But yeah, okay. So what values do you try to instill in your kids that also applies to your business and leadership?
Reading and listening.
Reading and listening.
It's my belief that reading and listening. It's my belief that a leader should listen first.
Yes. A good leader always
You
listens
know,
first.
um, you know, um, and especially, and it all depends on what type of leader you want to be, right? If you're a dictator, of course, no, you don't, right? You just do what you do. But if you're a servant leader, you listen first. We, you want to deal with what someone else is going through before you then try to lay down the direction and so on and so forth. So it's interesting. So when I was coming up inside of the company, my first rise to, let's say, president's team or to the top 1%, it was with mainly male leaders. And I used to pray for female leadership to come into the organization. And boy, you get what you pray for, but I didn't even know that I needed to,
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know what
remember
that,
that,
I didn't
brother.
know what I needed until I learned. I had to learn. Because see, dudes, to mentor guys, all they care about is look, you know where the fuck you going,
Mm-hmm.
and it all makes sense. Do it make
Mm-hmm.
sense? Okay, it makes sense. Well, this is where we, okay, great. Let's run. Like, let's go. This is what we gonna get when we get there. Fucking let's go. That's all it is. And we run. When it came to women, a woman inside it, the women don't move until they know you care. If they don't know you
You gotta feel
care, they
safe.
don't give a damn what you're talking about. They don't care how sweet it look. They don't care nothing. They need to know you care first. Once they know you care, they will
They
rock
need
with
to
you.
feel safe.
So, bro, I had to learn how to slow down. I had to learn how to be patient. I had to learn how to listen. I had to learn, yo, it's been calls when I'm the only guy and it's like 100 women on the line, and and I'm learning. I'm getting teared up. Like I'm from Compton, bro. Like that, I ain't never teared up on a call. It wasn't until these women came into the organization that I started being
It
like,
started. They
yo,
made you tap.
I
They made
gotta,
you. They made
I
you
gotta,
tap into that feminine energy, man.
yeah, I mean, we're all X and Y chromosome,
Right.
like, but again, as men, we grow up pushing that thing down.
Right.
That's why I said in the beginning, this company allows you to be naked, like gives you the full experience of who you are. So it just helped me be more of a full person. Um, so to answer your question, inside of that, it's really those are the things that help me raise my son and my daughter. My son, I know every single thing before it happens. I know what he's gonna go through, right? But my daughter, I had no idea. I don't know if you remember on a vacation, me pulling you and Johan to the side, and I'm like, yo,
Oh yeah, yeah. We were in the
I'm
beach
asking
in
y'all about
DR.
y'all daughters. I'm
I
like,
remember.
exactly. And I'm like, and we talking about, and you guys are talking about, yeah, well, my daughters had they cycle at this age and
Mm-hmm.
da da da, and I'm like
Mm-hmm.
freaking out because my
Mm-hmm.
daughter is younger. So I'm freaking out, like, oh my God. You know what I mean? But I needed you guys' counsel, right? Because you guys, because I needed to know, right? I don't know anything about a daughter. Um, but I always wanted to be able to be patient. Always wanted to constantly court her. She brought something out of me that I didn't know I had living inside of me, which is a type of love that I didn't even know
Mm.
existed. And I happened to be able to be there when that time came. Not only all of those pivotal moments, I was there. Even though she, lived with her mom, I was there, or she was at my house, and I'm so grateful to you guys because I was prepared. I had everything there, because I called her mom and I was like, "Yo, hey, I was just on a vacation, and they said that their daughter started da 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 around this age, and she was like,
I
nah, that's not gonna
remember. I
happen until whatever." I'm
remember.
like, I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
remember.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I need to know what I need to have at the house
Yeah.
right now.
It was. I
So
remember.
I got it all, put it in the house, and I remember it, bro, like it was just she was shy, and she was like, Dad, like, and I'm like, what's up, baby? And she didn't know how to tell me what was going on, but I kind of got an idea. I was like, go in your bathroom, do this, do that, da 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 da. It's right, you
Yeah.
good. You know what I mean? But that's because of you guys, right? And that's about me wanting to know how to be patient and uh, caring as it relates to that part of me that otherwise I never would have like
Man.
I would never would have did that had I not been in the company. To have women for me to realize I need to be that way because growing up, bro, I was in the streets and I had women. I wasn't applying that part of me when it came to women. In fact, I even think women, low key, a lot of women coming up, they don't want you to be that guy.
No, I mean, and that's not,
You see what I'm saying? Like
let me tell you something. This is exactly why, right? This is exactly why we have men that don't really show vulnerability, that they don't really show who they really are, because society have brought men to seem a certain way, and women have been programmed to think a man should be that certain way. So you got guys that is like, bro, they experience one thing, they feel some sort of way, that's it. Is a guard for the rest of their lives because of what
Yep.
society has made
Yep.
it seem like, right? But yeah, man, I agree 100%. One of the things I've learned, obviously, you evolve with your partner each year and stuff like that, or whatever relationship you're in, because you have female friends, I have female friends, and you have daughter, I have a daughter, right? And one of the things women, the female energy, the feminine, is always looking for from a man is safety. And what you learn with the women that came into
Mm-hmm.
your business was safety. That comes with patience, listening, taking your time. But safety is the container they're looking for. It's an energetic thing, right? And when women don't feel that, they ain't gonna listen, like you said. They just not. They don't care about it. You gotta show them the safety first. You gotta show me you care, and let's get the work after that. But 100%, and I remember that it was in DR, and we were in the sand and the beach, I think, and I think it was an
Yep.
old white. type of thing. And I remember you were looking. I was like, "Yo, what's going on,
Yeah.
Jay?" And he's like, "I don't know, man. My daughter going through some stuff right now, bro."
Stressed
Like,
out, bro. I'm like, help
I'm
me
like, "What's
out.
going on? What you mean?"
I'm like, give me
She's
the
giving
good.
me some attitude. I don't know what is it. I remember. But yeah, man, memories, bro. Memories you'll never forget,
Yeah,
man.
man.
All right, so let's get into entrepreneurship and growth. What does being a CEO slash entrepreneur man like yourself, right? What does being a CEO slash entrepreneur man to you be looks like beyond business, like outside of business, right? Because CEO and entrepreneur is what we do, but how you carry yourself with that
Hmm.
same embodiment outside of business.
You know, it's interesting, man. And sometimes I have this conversation with the guys. Brief though, brief, because I never want to try to tell people what to do uh, too much. Like I'll just give my perspective. And what I'll say is that we don't realize, based on what we've learned inside of this company, we don't realize how valuable we are outside of this company. And I don't mean that as it relates to like doing a different opportunity or whatever, but I mean, yeah, there too, of course, I don't mean necessarily getting a new job. Yeah, all that too. But I'm just talking about as
Mm-hmm.
humans. You know, you can walk into a party and completely not know anybody right now and show up in a way that no one else will, because you've been pruned in such a way by way of this company that you're just different, and all of us can,
I
right? And
remember
it doesn't
seeing
mean
it.
that we didn't have that inside of us. It just means that
Right.
we've been pruned, like we've literally been molded in such a way. So, I walk through the airport, I walk into a room, like I can go anywhere, and I can have my hat pulled down. I can be, I don't have to be, I can be dressed however, and get this type of love that, and I use the word love, but because that's what I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
But in other people's eyes, maybe it's just respect. But for some reason, I feel like that love, that respect is love for me. And yeah, man, it's just I command a certain thing. I just command a certain thing. And again, like I say, I think we've always had it. But I think that, Proverbs 27:17 is like, iron sharpens iron. Like we've been able to sharpen each other in such a way to where if we want to turn that on, or if we want to act in that space, or if we want to sit back and chill, either way, we have this magnetic thing that's on auto. And I think that oftentimes, and the reason why I talk to the guys is because sometimes I challenge them to venture out. Even when it comes to like dating and stuff like that, I'm like, I challenge you guys to start venturing out so you can really see what is attracted to you. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
just in all forms of the word. And bro, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's
You
crazy.
know, I'll say, I think oftentimes people just get a little. I don't want to say lost because nobody. I'm not trying to say anybody's lost. I just feel like some people forget that they're humans first, right? And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times when you want to represent too hard, it looks more fake than anything else because we forget we're humans first. So that love that you say you ooze wherever you walk is because you're walking in your human ability to understand you're this first before anything else. Whatever that is. You're this
Mm-hmm.
first
Mm-hmm.
before anything else. Yes, you grew, you evolved because certain things being a part of this business, but you are this before anything else. And a lot of people forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I feel like I can sense nowadays when people are trying to show something else. Like I can sense it, right? I can feel it. And that's not judging anybody, but it's like, man, you don't need to be this to prove anything. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, so good, man. All right. Can you
Yeah.
share a moment when everything felt like it was falling apart and how you realigned to push through?
You know, there's nothing in, people have heard it 1,000 times, but like there's nothing that we go through that we can't overcome. Nothing can resist the human will, right? That'll stake its very existence on its claim. There's been times when it seemed dismal. And the thing that I always have to realign with is that I am the master of my fate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, we can, let's take the business for example. There's a lot of things that we would sometimes want the company to do different,
Mm-hmm.
or the company be better at. And trust me, like other people, I could probably draw a list. But Jim Rohn was right when he says things don't change until we change.
Exactly.
Right? And things don't get better until we get better. So it's always those moments of asking myself, am I an employee or am I a business owner? Right? An employee is going to ask the company or ask some higher up situation for improvement,
Mm-hmm.
whether that be a raise, whether that be improve the workplace, whether that be whatever. And a business owner is going to be the one who makes that change.
Of
Right?
course.
It starts with you. And again, it reminds me of another book, Cash Flow Quadrant. Robert Kiyosaki says his second book after Rich Dad Poor Dad. The Cash Flow Quadrant, he had the little cross, and it had E, S, B, I. The E is employee, right? Which is fine. All the boxes are great. Employee, which is fine, but we know what employee is. Self-employed, which is what most people in the company are and don't realize it, right? Even self-employed. Self-employed is you're an employee, you just work for yourself,
Mm-hmm. You got to do the
right?
work, not the
Meaning
company.
like
Not the
if you
company. You
stop,
got to do the work.
right? Meaning like if you stop, it all stops. That's self-employed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Think about people who got nutrition clubs, and if they stop, it all stops.
Mm-hmm.
Or think about a world team member who doesn't have supervisors. If they stop, it all stops.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think people got to get clear about where they are. Oh, I'm self-employed right now. But then the next quadrant is B, which is business owner. A business owner is gonna run with that person, is gonna run without that person. Like this person can take time off and it's all still gonna run. Right. So I always had to be conscious of where I am. Actually, in Robert Kiyosaki's first book, The Rich Dad Poor Dad, he said, if you have a business and you have to be there, then it's your job and not your business.
Mm.
Right. So for me, when I think about all of this and how I had to realign, I have to ask myself, what quadrant am I in? You know what I mean? Am I acting in the employee quadrant? Am I acting as a self-employed person? You know what I mean? Like or am I leveraging to the point where this is a business? And that means how many new supervisors am I getting? Am I still doing this? Am I still doing the deal? Because if I am, I'm leveraging, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
building a business because I'm creating royalties. Like I'm doing these things which establish business. And then of course the fourth quadrant, just for the listening viewers, is investment. That's when your money makes money for you. right? So that's where I have to realign. I have to always self-check myself because it's very easy, to fall into one of the other categories that uh, I don't or I shouldn't be living in for me personally.
Yeah,
So
or
that's one of
try
the
to
things that
force
I do to realign, and
or
I'm
try to force
realigning right
something.
now.
Yeah, or try to force something that isn't what you're trying to represent either, which is backfires. But yes,
Hmm.
um, what habits or disciplines keep you sharp as a leader?
Hmm. Very interesting. Personal work, me challenging me again. I think about the times when I've gotten lazy, um, and I think about the times when I let things get out of whack, and which caused me to realign. But I'll tell you this, and I feel like this is great for anybody listening. It Even as adults, I believe, because but I believe that we should still have a future self in mind. Like I, bro, I have a future self, and I can tell you everything about this guy. I can tell you he's in great physical condition. He has like a salt and pepper beard. Obviously he got a bald head.
I was about to say,
He's
man
well
got braids.
manicured. Yeah, right. He's well manicured. He plays. He plays. Instruments.
Oh,
He
okay.
he speaks English and Spanish, right?
Okay,
Like I can tell
for the
you,
Spanish lady.
he has tailor-made suits. Like I can tell you everything about this guy, and I get excited talking about him. And he's my North Star.
Right, that's who you want to strive
So
for.
right, so what it is, and I think as kids we have that all day. Oh yeah, I want to be this when I grow up. I want to be that. I want to be this. But somewhere along the line, I think sometimes we lose the naivete that we embody as children to say, I want to be that when I grow up. Right. And I think that because I still have this North Star of I want to be that, it not only helps me realign when I get too far out of whack, because I'm like, this don't add up
Yeah.
to this. And as long as I chase this, the things that don't align with that slowly start to move out of my life.
Which is
And
supposed to happen.
exactly. And that helps me get back into the habits and back into the disciplines that keep me sharp
So let me
as a
ask you
leader.
this, which is not part of this because it just came to me because of something you said. So, is it meant for you to get off track a little bit and be lazy to realign? If you think about it, it's meant for you to get that way. Because if it doesn't happen, then there's no need for you to challenge yourself and realign, right? You're just being conscious. You're just being
100%.
conscious of the thing, so you realign yourself. There's certain people that get a little too deep into it and make up excuses of, oh, this is happening to me because the world and da 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 da. See, but we have mastered with the things we learn that these things happen for us to show us something, to realign, right, and go after who we know our future selves are. That's a good. That's a good.
Yeah, of course.
That's really good right there.
You can learn more when you're losing. You can
Of
learn more when you're
course,
losing than you
for
do when you're
sure,
winning.
for sure.
You know, my grandfather used to always say, look, don't get yourself into something you can't get yourself out of. So yes, always, So my thing is like, yeah, even as we going over here, the idea is that can I get myself out of here? And I think what happens is people end up going so far over here, and then
Yeah,
they give up, and then they
yeah.
spiral down. But one of my little favorite little Wayne quotes is when he said, "One thing you never hear, Webb quit." You'll
It's
never
true.
hear that.
It's
You
true.
never, you never gonna hear it.
Oh shit.
You never gonna hear it, bro. As long as there's breath in my lungs, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. It's not a quit. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not me. So I have
No.
to realign, and I
Cause
have to
no
step
matter
back.
how
Get
many
back in the
times you
game.
have to get up, man, you're not quitting on yourself, and that's what matters. Um.
Yep.
So we got like two more questions. Um, Mentorship and brotherhood, right? So you've mentored so many people, including myself. What do you think makes a great mentor?
Service, you know, service, man. Really, I wouldn't be on this call. I wouldn't have been able to gain the favor that I've been able to gain with you or others if I wasn't first willing to give first. In the John C. Maxwell book, when he talks about the 5 levels of leadership, right? Obviously, there's leaders by appointment, right,
Mm-hmm.
or position, but you know, I always wanted to be the leader by example. And it's funny too. You said something earlier about how there's certain, or you were talking about the Bible. You was like, a person can read this, somebody else can read that, and it can mean something, but they depend on where they are in life. Today, I was listening to this old Eric Thomas thing while I was on the treadmill, and I was like, I don't even necessarily want to even listen. So I heard this, like I've been listening since 2012. It was like from the blueprint to success. It was way back. It was that series, like 2012, 13, Eric Thomas, and he talked about the story where the the lady, she gave the guy the jewel, and and he was like a beggar, and she had just found the jewel, and he was like, I'm hungry. She was like, well, I mean, I don't have nothing. I'm starving too. She just happened to find a jewel. He's like, well, can I get the jewel? Now, mind you, she didn't have nothing. This was all she had, but she gave him the jewel. And he was like, dude walked away happy, like, I got this jewel, like I'm about to be eating, I'm about to be set. He says, now you start walking. He stopped and he started traveling back to the lady. And he goes, lady, she's like, look, I don't have anything else. He goes, no, no, no. I've stopped you because I came back to find you because I want to give you back this jewel. And she's like, what do you mean? This jewel is worth a lot. Like, why do you want to give it back? He's like, I don't want the jewel. I want whatever was in you that allowed you to be willing to give it to me.
That's quality. That's
Bro,
wow.
I've listened to that so many years, bro. But today it finally hit, and I was like, oh
You
my
know how aware you
God.
got to be to like want that instead of the thing you're begging for. Think about it. He went back to get what she had inside her, and not even the thing he was begging for. Wow, wow. Yeah, I feel like one of the best qualities as you being a mentor to me that I've seen on a personal level or business level is that you are somewhat of service and you are someone that listens too. Like you have your full you put your full attention to whoever you're providing a service to. You're not just there out of whack. Like you're actually listening and stuff like that. So it's definitely qualities that I feel people that mentor others should definitely have for sure. Service, listening, and always having the sense of I can only give you the best advice to the best of my ability, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I can't give you more than what I have, you know? So
Yeah. And if I don't have anything, I'm okay with saying
I don't know
I don't know.
exactly. You got to be
I ain't got to try
right,
to make something up to
right. And
sound good. If
there's
I
people
don't
that
know,
do that too, man. And it's like, bro, you can't do that. If you don't know, you don't know. It's okay. If you don't know,
no.
you don't know,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
I got one more question after this one. Um, why is why is brotherhood and community so essential for men in leadership roles?
Funny because I feel like you've touched on it a few different times here. Just even when I talked about the vacation and you guys being of support to me. When I think about the different people who have held my feet to the fire, and mainly those were men. I was telling somebody yesterday about how one of our other business associates, he had come back from doing a training with one of our mentors in Europe, and he said that on that training, in the personal development section, the guy was talking about this thing called the door to more. And I was like, what's that? And he was like, well, there's going to come a time in your life when all the things that you used to do or that got you here, it won't seem like it's as effective as it once was. And you'll be wondering, like, yo, I'm doing all the things. Like, why am I not growing again? I'm doing all the things. Why am I not growing? And he says, what you're missing is not in relationship to the doing of that. It's in relationship to the thing behind the door that you're choosing not to deal with. And he's like, and it's usually something that is completely not related to your business. It's usually something personal or something else that you are not dealing with. He said, we all got those things in our life that for some reason we avoid. We don't feel like we want to deal with, right? Like I clean my whole house, but let's just say the closet's dirty. That somehow takes up space in my mind that the closet's dirty, even though the house is clean. It's incomplete, right? He's like, so we got to get good at running through the door, dealing with the things that we put off, that we don't want to deal with. He's like, and when you go clean up that room or you go deal with that door, and that door for me was relationship. That at the time, the relationship that I had back then with my ex-wife, and it wasn't until I went to go clean that up. But what happened was, the reason how this relates to this topic is that it was the way he challenged me in a very strong manner to handle my business with that. Very blatant, very direct.
Sometimes we need that. We need that.
Yeah,
Right.
iron sharpens iron.
It's not coming from a place of being disrespectful, but it's truth, right? And truth often hurts and triggers people, but it's truth. It's truth.
Yeah. And being the type of men that we are, that's what we need. That's one of the biggest things that I believe that inside of brotherhood, we honor each other with accountability.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question too. Like, if you had one word, what would brotherhood mean to you? Like, if you had one word, what that word would be?
Oh yeah, it's definitely accountability. It's definitely accountability simply because there's certain things and certain behaviors that we uphold and we get to uphold with one another. And as men, we tend to believe or feel like we're on our own islands, right? Like, I'm on my own island, right? You think I'm on my own island. But how much stronger could we potentially be in our mind or in our spirit for you to know that 5 of us got your back? You know what I mean? You might not ever feel like you got to call on us because you just might not ever. But to know it, it's like there's an opportunity to walk different,
for sure,
to talk different, to act different, to take more chances.
Just the knowing,
right? Yeah, the knowing, right? I always say, like this is way stronger than this.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So when you feel like you got this with you, you're so much stronger. And I believe that oftentimes we live like this.
I love.
And these are all like easy. Right, you can break
loose.
these.
They're not tight. They're not tight knit. I feel like I've learned recently to start using the word knowing more than believing. And I'm not talking about you can't be a believer. That's not what I mean. Right? Because in believing something, there's some type of doubt in believing. When you know, there's certainty. Right? Let me give you a perfect example. Let me give you a perfect example, Jay. Let me give you a perfect example. I believe the Yankees are gonna win. Right? But guess what I know? I know the Yankee Stadium is in the Bronx.
But you know.
See the difference? There's certainty in the Yankees being in the Bronx. There's a little bit of doubt in me believing the Yankees are gonna win. Right? So I feel like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people stay stuck on this believing thing, which there's nothing wrong with at all. But when you know, right? I have this vision being on stage, and it's replayed a few times, and it's like I'm talking to everybody, and I'm talking to the people in the back, the press teams in the front, the chairmans, right? And then obviously you got the founders. Founders being the highest tier right now. And the question is
Mm-hmm.
always repeat after me. I believe you're going to get to whatever next level you want to. So you hear it out. I
Mm.
believe I'm going to be a chairman. But when you say I know, there's another level of confidence in you when you say I know. Right? So I heard this Jamaican guy, and he asked this guy, do you believe you know who your mother is, or do you know who your mother is? And the guy was like,
Mm.
well, yeah, I know who my mother is. So then he goes, do you believe who Jesus is, or do you know who Jesus is? And the guy was like, well, I've never
Mm.
met Jesus. I only heard stories of him to believe who Jesus is, right? And when he says
Mm.
that, he goes into, so do you believe you are white, or do you know you're white? See, because the thing is, we're souls experiencing this life in human bodies. Color doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter.
Mm-hmm.
We make it a thing.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I
Mm-hmm.
could tell you
Yes.
is that I know I'm a soul, right? I know I'm
Mm-hmm.
a soul. But for me, I believe I'm this color because I'm experiencing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
But there's only one
and that's
person in the
us.
room, and that's us.
There's only one person in the room, and that is us. That's another quote from you. That's another quote from you.
Yeah.
That was fire. I remember that. That was on a call, though. That one was on a call that you did for us in a focus group.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, before we wrap up, I always have a listener's challenge on my episodes, right? So I have a listener's challenge, and you can also give one to the listeners if you want. So this week, ask yourself, where in life am I playing small because I'm afraid to lead, and then take a moment, take an inspired action to step into that leadership. So I'll say it again. Ask yourself, where in my life am I playing small because I'm afraid to lead? And then take one inspired action to step into leadership, no matter how big or small. So that's the question. That's the listener's challenge for the week. I don't know if Jay wants to add one. I don't know if Jay wants to share something else before we close out. But for me, it's an honor to have my brother on this podcast, man. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know time is just an illusion. When you told me the time you wanted, I was like, I gotta stay up, man. It don't matter. 3 hours away, it don't matter. And look at that, 11:11. Thank you. Thank you. 11:11. So Jay, if there's anything else you want to share before I close out with my punchline.
Well, I just want to say that if you heard that challenge, please take it on, because as he said it, I instantly took inventory. And if there's a way for you, you guys as listeners to drop a comment somewhere or send Raul like what that thing was,
Yeah, people.
because that was a very impactful challenge. And for those that take it on, and versus just listening to it and just thinking it was just whatever. I don't know, Raul, if you want to say it again, but you guys listen to this challenge because it was a very impactful challenge. If you just take on
Yeah.
just some of it, um, it can literally start to change the course and change the trajectory of your life, by doing that. So I just say thank you for that challenge, because now I'm like, I got to go
So
take some
it
things
was.
on.
Ask yourself, where in my life am I playing small because I'm afraid to lead? And then take one inspired action to step into leadership, no matter how big or how small. You guys can comment on the Spotify section. You guys can comment on the Apple Podcast section. You guys can send me a DM. You know, you guys can leave that wherever you want. But ask yourself that question. And we spoke about fear earlier, right? It just takes asking the question of why you feel afraid. That's it. You answer that question. That question is that answer is within you, and you'll see how everything changes. So, my brother, thank you so much. I'm gonna close it out with thank you for locking in with us today, and remember, come for the truth, stay for the brotherhood.